Hey guys, welcome back to Top 10 Gaming. I'm Ron Mackenzie Lafergie. There are a lot of video game lovers out there, and many of these fans are super creative. So what happens when you have creative people playing games that leave things up to the imagination? You get a whole whack of strange and awesome theories, and you lucky ducks get to watch me talk about my favorites. I can't go into too much detail about them or this video will be an hour long, but I'll give you the gist. Let's go, here are my top 10 mind-blowing video game theories. Number 10. Skyrim and Fallout are the same world. As you've likely gathered from the title, this theory states that Skyrim and Fallout actually take place in the same world, just at different times. As a lover of both games, I would love for this to be true, but I must admit the evidence is a bit shaky. It mainly points to the fact that a plant found in a Brotherhood of Steel research facility greatly resembles the famous Nirnroot plant from Skyrim. It does look similar and has similar characteristics and is even called NRT. This sounds really cool, but to me it sounds more like a little Easter egg the developers wanted to throw in rather than an actual clue that they're the same world. Cool idea though, I hope it's right. Number 9. Lavender Town killed kids. This is one theory that goes more into a myth category, but it's too weird to not bring up. When Pokemon Red and Green were released in Japan, the song in Lavender Town was pretty terrifying. It was super high pitched and quite eerie sounding. But soon after the game's release, a number of children began reporting nausea and migraines, and there was even an increase in suicide, all of which was pinned on the Lavender Town music. They lowered the pitch of the music for the world release to avoid these problems, but that's not what happened. The music didn't cause these things. I'm 99% sure it was a coincidence, and the other 1% of me thinks Voldemort did it. Number 8. Oh my god, you killed Raticate! You bastard! This is one of the less believable theories, but it's a pretty intriguing story. It claims that when you defeat your rival on the SS Anne in Pokemon Red and Blue and beat his Raticate, you're actually killing it. The theory points to the fact that the next time you fight your rival is in the Pokemon Tower where people pay respects to their dead Pokemon, and Raticate isn't in your rival's party and he never returns. Personally, I just think you realize that Raticate is crap, but hey, to each their own. Number 7. The Madden Curse. This one is less of a fan theory, more of a superstition, but it's still pretty crazy. And it's really strange how consistent it is. The idea behind this is that players who are featured on the cover of a Madden game go on to have significant misfortune. This goes as far back as Garrison Hurst in '99, who broke his ankle the next season and didn't play again until 2001. But it didn't stop there. Pretty much every other year since has been plagued with injury and bad luck for the poor sap on the cover of the game. However, one explanation that holds a lot of water is that this is just regression to the mean. If someone has a really good season, they'll likely be on the cover, and then the next season, chances are they won't do as well as their best season ever, so it looks like a curse. The injuries are still pretty strange though. Number 6. Metal Gear Solid 3 was a simulation. Here's one theory that gained a fair bit of traction in the MGS community. It claims that Metal Gear Solid 3 isn't a prequel to the other games, but rather a sequel in which the protagonist is taking part in a virtual simulation of past events. Evidence for this includes the fact that Snake initially misheard the name of his mission and called it a virtual mission rather than a virtuous mission, which could be a subtle hint. Plus, Roy Campbell gets angry if you kill Ocelot, with the theory stating that he's telling the future Solid Snake off for creating a time paradox. It's pretty hard to confirm or deny, but it's nifty nonetheless. Number 5. Animal Crossing is about kidnapping. This one might ruin a bunch of people's visions of this game. Sorry. But it's actually a really valid theory that I'm almost tempted to believe. Quite often when the game begins, you find yourself being driven to a strange town by some guy named Captain, who acts super sketchy. Probably the biggest indicator that this theory is true is Captain's name, as it's based on Kappa, a Japanese mythological creature that kidnaps children. Then you're stuck in this town, basically forced into indentured servitude to pay for the house you didn't ask for. It's all pretty crazy. Did you just join a cult? Number 4. Donkey Kong Country is anti-American propaganda. This one actually holds a lot of water. I almost fully believe it. The theory claims that Donkey Kong Country is about the Banana Wars, where the US essentially stole a whole whack of bananas from various Caribbean countries. Obviously, the prevalence of bananas in the game points to that, although that could easily be explained by the fact that the game is, about apes and monkeys. But there are still more clues, like the crocodiles dressed in clear US military outfits, and later in the game you're confronted with a bunch of oil fields and even a boss that's a big oil drum. I'm not convinced that the purpose of the game was propaganda, but the anti-American sentiment is definitely there. Number 3. The indoctrination theory. This is an incredibly popular theory amongst Mass Effect fans that states that the final battle in Mass Effect 3 is actually an illustration of Shepard's mental struggle against indoctrination. There are a number of evidences used to support this claim, like his eye color after his choice and the colors of the moral choices themselves after the battle, as well as the infamous breath scene following the destroy option. It's a super complex theory that I can't go into fully right now, but if you're a Mass Effect fan, I'd highly advise checking it out. It's pretty intriguing and makes the ending a bit less disappointing. Number 2. The Pokemon world is war-torn. This is one theory that really makes you think and actually sounds relatively plausible. It states that the Pokemon world is actually ravaged by war and points to a few major evidences to support his case. First, adult men are strangely uncommon in the Pokemon world. For the most part, the men you see are either gym leaders, intellectuals, or criminals like Team Rocket. War is even mentioned by characters like Lieutenant Surge, and what's more, young people are being pushed into training Pokemon to battle at an early age, maybe to prepare them to take part in a larger Poke War. That's pretty Poke-neat. Nailed it. Number 1. Majora's Mask is about the 5 stages of grief. This theory states that the events of Majora's Mask all take place in Link's head after he's knocked unconscious falling off his horse, and follows him going through the stages of grief over the death of Navi. First, he goes to Clock Town, where the citizens are in denial of the deadly planet looming over them. Then it's Woodfall, where the king shows great anger towards an innocent monkey. Next is Snowhead, where Darmani is bargaining to save his life. Then at Great Bay, Link meets Lulu, who is showing depression at having lost her eggs. Finally, in Ikana Canyon, Link fights 4 versions of himself, each supposedly representing the previous 4 stages, and receives the light arrows, which represents acceptance, the final stage of grief. Mind blown. That's it for today. Hope you guys found this interesting, and if you enjoyed, please do us a big favor and like and subscribe down below so we can keep bringing you videos. Let me know in the comments which of these theories you think is the most credible. Until next time, I'm Ron McKenzie LaFergie with Top 10 Gaming. Later, gamers.